Okay, thought I'd do a quick follow-up on the X-70 space robot, tulip head robot. Got the motor running more reliably, lubed up all the gears, adjusted a crown gear on the bottom so that the walk cam would engage, freed up the frozen wheel that was down there, and got a C-cell battery pack over here because my AA's I was running it on were, well, none of my batteries are very good. I gotta go make a trip to town and get some new batteries. Can't even get 3 volts out of anything I got laying around here. And going through these long jumper cables don't help either. But enough excuses. I got it where it's running enough where I can demonstrate more fully for those of you that are interested how the mechanics work of what's going on there. So let's look for the on-off switch on the back. That ratcheting sound is normal. And there's your TV screen part that opens up. And then that should close up and it would go back into the walking mode. So, the ratcheting sound that you're hearing we'll shut this off for a minute and we'll come back to it. So what's going on, of course, as we kind of talked about in the last video, is this gear travels up and down, and what does that is a little ramp sequencer, and I'll show you that in a close-up in a second. When it's all the way up, it's going to engage, if the camera can see, yeah, see that upper gear up in there? It engages that upper gear, and that upper gear winds in a cam that pulls on these springs to close the pedals. And when it's all the way closed, that would just jam. I mean, what can it do? Well, they purposely designed that upper gear up in there. Once it's finally made it to the closed position, they've stopped putting teeth on that gear. So when it gets to that last tooth on that gear and it can't go any further, it just sits there and clicks back and forth between open space and that gear as this hits that point. I know that sounds like a crude way to do it, but that's actually how all the Rotomatics and all the other robots do it. And yes, it is a big wearing point, and things don't last forever because of that design, but they weren't meant to. They were meant, you know, to work for a few hours or weeks to make the kid happy, not 60, 70 years later. So, getting a closer look then at what's going on here, and I'll turn it on in a minute, but the noise it makes it hard for me to talk over it. On the top of this gear up here, I'll push this down so you can see it. There is a ramp. See that ramp in the back? Right now it's up in this slot area. The white stuff is grease that I put on there. So it's up in that slot. But the slot only goes around halfway. So it's ramp shaped. Maybe you can see it better when it's on. It's moving around now. It's going to come around. Watch this gear. See how that came down? Let's stop it right there. So now you can clearly see the ramp. And as it continues around, it's eventually going to hit that slot that's there and drop back in. So that ramp has pushed the gear down. When the gear goes down, it does the opposite of what you'd think. It doesn't engage this crown gear for the walking. It disengages. It actually pushes down past the teeth. So that's when it's just sitting there. And when this gear goes down, it engages the lower gear there, the one just above the blue part that you see. And that's what makes the head, the tulip head, rotate. So it's sitting there spinning. And when it's not engaged with that upper gear anymore, the pedals just naturally fall because of gravity, and they're heavy. So it opens up automatically, spins as that goes down. As this comes around and drops into that slot, the gear is going to the shaft, is going to pop up. When it pops up, it'll engage this crown gear, which will do the walking, and when it pops up, it engages that upper gear in the top of the head, which then pulls the pedals in together until it reaches the end of the teeth on that round gear up there and just sits there and click. Tick, 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 tick. So that's what's going on there. And I'll let you watch a little bit more of this in action so you can, some of you may be having trouble visualizing all of it. So you saw where it dropped down in the slot. Coming around here, watch this gear. It went down because the crown gear's below the slot now. And then you stop, pop back up again. So what's going on down here with the walking gear? See how it drops below? Well, you can see it even though I just dropped the batteries on the floor. It drops below the crown gear, and that's why it stops walking. So that's what's going on. It was good to get this part of the Gutty Works working. Now I just have to talk with Ozzy and see what we want to try to do about the body work.